The Narcissism of Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon Bonaparte, this guy was like the original influencer, right? I mean, he crowned himself emperor. Talk about a guy who couldn't find a mirror he didn't like. Today we're diving into the wildlife of Napoleon and how his narcissism was like putting rocket fuel on his ambition. Spoiler alert, it ended with a giant crash. Born on August 15, 1769 in Corsica, Napoleon started off as just another kid with a big dream. He was the second of 8 kids, which probably explains why he needed to be the center of attention. Kids got a complex, right? He went to military school and quickly climbed the ranks during the French Revolution. By 1799, he pulls off a coup like he's stealing the last donut in the box. Then boom, he's first consul, then emperor in 1804. It's like a real-life version of The Apprentice, but with more bloodshed and less dramatic music. This guy was a military genius, expanding French territory and making enemies everywhere. But spoiler alert, his ego was bigger than his empire, his infamous invasion of Russia in 1812. Yeah, that didn't go so well. It's like trying to throw a party in the middle of a snowstorm and being shocked when no one shows up. And let's just say, he ended up getting exiled to Elba and then St. Helena. Not exactly the vacation he had in mind. Now let's talk about some classic Napoleon moments that scream narcissist. 1. The coronation of 1804. So he's at Notre Dame Cathedral, right? And instead of letting the Pope crown him, he goes, "Nah, I got this." Takes the crown from the Pope's hands and plops it on his own head. Talk about a power move. It's like saying, "Thanks for the invite, but I think I'll DJ the party myself." Narcissistic trait, grandiosity. This move shows his overwhelming need to place himself above traditional authority, showcasing his self-importance. 2. The Battle of Austerlitz, 1805. This guy thought he was so clever. He's like, "I'm going to pretend to retreat and lure them in." It's a classic trap, but honestly, it's like a cat playing with its food. He just couldn't resist showing off. And guess what? He won. But you know what they say, pride comes before the fall. Narcissistic trait, overconfidence. His arrogance led him to underestimate his opponents, believing he was invincible, which ultimately backfired on him. 3. His Grand Army. Napoleon called his troops the Grand Army, which is like naming your pet goldfish the Great Shark. He demanded absolute loyalty, but it was more about him being the main character in his own epic saga. His troops were like, "Dude, we just want to survive this war, not be part of your ego trip." Narcissistic trait, need for admiration. This reflects his desire for validation and recognition, turning his military into a reflection of his own ego rather than a cohesive unit. Section 3. Hurting others due to narcissism. Now let's get serious for a second. His narcissism didn't just hurt his career, it hurt real people. Take the Russian campaign in 1812. His generals were like, Napoleon, maybe we shouldn't invade in winter." And he's like, "Nah, I'm Napoleon, and I'm gonna narc. I'll just wear my fancy hat and we'll be fine." Guess what? Over 400,000 soldiers died. That's a big ol' whoops right there. It's like throwing a barbecue in a hurricane and being shocked when everyone's drenched. This guy's ego led to a massive loss of life, and it's hard to believe he didn't see that coming. Narcissistic trait, lack of empathy. His refusal to listen to his generals and the plight of his soldiers shows a complete disregard for their well-being, prioritizing his ambitions over human life. Section 4. Narcissism leading to downfall. And here's the kicker, his narcissism was the nail in the coffin for his career. At the Battle of Waterloo in 1815, he walked in thinking he was invincible. This dude underestimated everyone around him. It's like showing up to a chess match and thinking you could beat the grandmaster while blindfolded. His confidence blinded him, and he lost. Down goes Napoleon, folks. He gets exiled again, this time to St. Helena, far away from the glory he craved. It's like the universe said, "All right, buddy, time to take a time out." Narcissistic trait, inability to accept failure. His refusal to acknowledge his limitations and learn from past mistakes ultimately led to his downfall, a classic case of pride leading to destruction. What do you think? Was Napoleon just a misunderstood genius, or did his ego get the better of him? Let me know in the comments. And remember, next time you crown yourself in public, maybe think twice about it. Like and subscribe for more history with a side of humor. Thanks for watching another episode of The Famous Faces of Narcissism. If you enjoyed this, drop a comment below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Keep it real, and remember, narcs be narkin'.